baby.
For 4th of July this year, we ordered a half brisket from a company called Porter Road out of Kentucky. They're a butcher that specializes in dry aged meat. It's one of the best briskets I've ever cooked and ever enjoyed. So I'd seen a video a while back on Jeremy Yoder's channel. It's called Mad Scientist Barbecue, where he did the Dino ribs on his offset smoker. And it looked so good, and I wanted them so bad. So I had to get on a waiting list because these things are kind of hard to find. When they have them, they're usually gone pretty quickly. So if you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description and probably a discount code if there is one. If you want to get on a waiting list and get some for yourself and give them a smoke. We're gonna try it today, and I'm gonna show you how I go about doing it. First things first is it comes in a cryo pack, so we're gonna wanna get it out of the cryo pack, get it rinsed off, and then pat it dry with a paper towel. So I'll get that done, I'll see you in a minute. I'd probably clean up just, little hard bits of fat here and there. This hard stuff, it can go. All right, so as you can see, we didn't really take off too much. Leave a little bit on there because we want it to kind of render down and stuff. But otherwise, looks pretty good. And the bottom we're not going to be too concerned with anyways, but we'll just kind of do a quick score across it. Now, I'm going to be cooking this on an electric Masterbuilt smoker with a cold smoking attachment. And it's pretty small. So this whole thing here probably is not going to fit perfectly well, so I'm going to give her a slice down the center and do it in 2 different trays. Just like so. All right, so let's get ready to apply some rub. So SBG bro, so basically all this is 60% black pepper and 40% kosher salt. And maybe, a couple tablespoons of this and that in there. Garlic powder would be 1, onion powder would be another, maybe a little bit of cayenne and a little bit of smoked paprika. We'll just go ahead and get this started here. All right, made a nice mess. I'd say that's a pretty good start. So let's go ahead and get these things on the smoker. I've already preheated it to 275 degrees and got the smoke rolling. See you out there. All right, so this is the Masterbuilt electric smoker. It's one of the smaller ones. It was actually gifted to me by a friend a few years back. He didn't use it, and I was like, yeah, I'll use it, thanks. So it didn't really smoke that well, so one of the things I did was I installed the cold smoking attachment here. This thing's only about 45 bucks off of Amazon, and it's basically a little smokestack. And you're not supposed to do it this way per their directions, but this is how I do it. Take regular old pellets, drop them in the stack like that, turn the thing on, and as you can see, we get plumes and plumes of smoke out of this thing. So, and if you're wondering why I'm not using an offset today, it's because this is Texas and it's hot. Let's go ahead and get these things loaded up. Oh yeah, look at that smoke. So now that we have these on, we're gonna let these smoke good solid 3 hours, and then I'll come out and check them. Now, one caveat to using the cold smoking attachment is you can't plug it into the same circuit that the Masterbuilt smoker's plugged into, which basically means that I have to run an extension cord from the cold smoking attachment through a window to an opposite side of the house so that it can be plugged into a different circuit, which is really no big deal for me, but might be something for you to consider if you think about a cold smoking attachment. So the cold smoking attachment, every now and again I'll come out, maybe every 2 hours I'll come out and just kind of jiggle the chimney to make sure the pellets are all falling down like they're supposed to. And I'll look, if I can see any sort of red element or anything down through the chimney, I'll add a few more pellets. But generally speaking, I get about 4 to 5 hours of smoke out of one half-filled chimney full of pellets. And one other thing, you don't want to overfill it when you do it this way because they'll expand and stuff up the chimney. All right, y'all, so it's been about 3.5 hours. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at these things and see what we've got. Ooh. Oh, they swelled up quite a bit. They're looking pretty good, so I think we're gonna go ahead and get these bad boys wrapped. All right, so we've got these pulled out, and they look pretty good. I kind of messed them up a little bit with the tongs pulling them out, but that's basically because of how thick they are. They swelled up quite a bit. So lesson learned, you know, put a little bit more space between your racks, but otherwise looking pretty good. Pulling away here, lots of fat rendering down, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap them up and get them back in. And one thing I might add is, don't do like me and use regular old aluminum foil. Get you some heavy duty aluminum foil. It's wider, easier to work with, and it'll hold the liquid in better. As you can see, we got some rips already. So I'll be having to wrap these about 4 or 5 times. All right, back in she goes. All right, so everything's wrapped and back in the smoker, so we'll go another 2 hours or so, then we'll check temps and tenderness. All right, y'all, it's been about 2.5 hours. I'm gonna go ahead and check these out and see what they look like. All right, so we're definitely in the range that we need to be in. Now, unfortunately, I got hung up going to get some groceries and stuff, and didn't get a chance to unwrap these, so we're gonna see how they do with no unwrapping. So these are gonna go directly into a cooler, wrapped in a towel, and sit for about an hour. And we're at about 204 degrees. Throw a towel over, and she goes into the ice chest. All right, so we got her in the ice chest. I'm gonna leave it in there for about an hour or so. And after that, we'll pull them out, cut them up, and see what we got. All right, it's been about an hour, and this is our final product here. Got a lot of fat still on the top. I feel very soft, and I think it's gonna turn out pretty good. Oh, bones are hardly even attached. Let's give this thing a slice and see what happens. Oh my goodness. Very juicy, very moist. Look at the size of these things. These are the ribs. They've been kind of cubed. I got rid of a lot of the big fatty pieces because there really is a lot of fat on these, and it's kind of just part of it. And I don't know, it makes it taste really good. So I'm not going to complain. All right, y'all. So this is the obligatory taste test. And I'm not gonna be that guy that makes all the weird faces, you know, when he takes a bite and he's like, I'm not gonna do that. Not gonna do it. Stone cold. If my dad was here right now, I know what he'd be saying. It'd be something like,
oh yeah, baby.
Yep. They're good, they're delicious. I love it. All right, so we had some neighbors over and some people stopped by and gave some bones to people for their dogs and gave one to our dog. Hey buddy, how's that rib bone? That nummy? Sitting here eating little pieces of these ribs, you know, and I'm pretty much full now just from eating the ribs. So they're really like decadent and quite fatty. I mean, there's a lot of fat on these ribs, but man, so good, and it's kind of hard to describe, but you know, dry aged plus just being smoked all day, great stuff. So here are some notes from smoking these ribs, things that I think I could probably do better next time or that I'd like to just modify. First off is these things are really fatty, so there's a lot of it kind of in between the meat and just running through the entire thing. So I'd really recommend cutting as much of that fat cap off as possible. So I should have carved it more, like put a little bit more emphasis on getting down to the meat, because there's so much fat in them that you really don't need a whole big, you know, fat pad on the top. Number two would be the foil. Oh my gosh, the foil. So this is one of those things where I realized we were out of it when I needed it. So always have heavy duty grilling foil. We ended up with 3 hours in the smoke and 3 hours covered instead of 2 hours. So what this meant was, by the time I got back and put a temperature probe in, we had already hit the temps we were looking for. So at that point, I basically just took it out and threw it in the cooler. So that extra hour, if you open it up and you know, kind of allow the heat to hit the top of the ribs or whatever you're smoking, it helps to kind of dry the crust out a bit, so it's a little bit harder, firmer, you know, and crustier, I guess you could say. But I hope you enjoyed sitting along with this, and I hope something was educational, even though it was probably quite disorganized. But we'll try to do better in the future. Until then, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day. You know, smoking is kind of, so by the time I got back and opened up, you know, put a